Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Ethical Cruise. Today in this video I'll talk about AWS EC2 storage options. In my previous video I already talked about what EC2 is and how we can configure EC2 instance and all. Also in the previous videos which I will provide in the description below, you can see there are different AWS concepts like AWS Identity Access Management, and also I have talked about what cloud computing is and all, what type of AWS provider is inside the cloud provider, what are different deployment models and all. Okay, so if you do not know about this cloud computing and all this AWS basics, then you can go through all of those previous videos. I'll provide the description of those link of those videos in the description below. Okay, so let's start with today's topic, that is AWS EC2 storage options. So first one is EC2 storage options. Like what is it? So whenever you are spinning up an EC2 instance, okay, there is a storage which is attached to that particular EC2 instance. Okay, and what Amazon provides you a flexible way of attaching those storages that is cost effective and easy to use data storage option with options. Okay, so what, and each option has a unique combination of performance and durability. Okay, so there are different types of storage options being provided by AWS. One is your elastic block store, EBS. We'll see about this in we'll see about all of this in further details. First one is your EBS elastic block store. Second one is your EC2 instance storage. Third one is your S3, fourth one is your EFS, one more is FSX. So these are different kinds of block storage, instance storage, as well as file storage. If you see in this diagram, like you can see there are two types of, there are two instance A and instance B. When we are when this is your host computer. Okay, so EC2 instance basically resides on your host computer, and as you can see in this diagram, this instance A is connected with this particular instance store. With this instance store, there are different block storage options. Okay, and this is connected to this particular instance. While if we talk about EBS, so as you can see, EBS is not reside on the host machine. Okay, it is differently present, and this particular EBS volume is directly connected with this particular instance A, and this particular instance B is connected to two EBS volume at the same time. Okay, so this is basically multi-attached thing, and this is a single attached thing. Also, there is one more type of storage options, that is EFS, that we'll talk about in later part of this videos, where this single EFS device is a network device which is being shared across multiple instances. Okay, and also the last one is your Amazon S3. Amazon S3 is like your object storage system, where it is store everything in the form of objects. So here in this diagram, we can see this particular EBS volume is having a snapshot, and this snapshot is being stored in this particular bucket, which is present inside this S3. Okay, so these are different storage options. We'll see one by one what are different of these, and we will see in more details. Okay. So let's start first with what is Elastic Block Store, EBS. Okay, so EBS is just like your network drives. As you can see, you can read it more like a pen drives which you have attached to your laptop or your desktop. So you know already what a pen drive. So you can basically attach the pen drives into any of the system. You can just plug it into one system, copy the data, remove the data, format the data into that pen drive, and then you can attach it to another laptop or device. Okay, so these are just like a network drives. But what's the benefit of this? EBS like a persistent storage volumes. Data resides on those pen drives until and unless you are basically deleting those data. Okay, so same is with this EBS volumes. EBS volumes have the persistent storage volumes and are basically used to store data outside the scope of this EC2 instance. Okay, so if anything happens with this EC2 instance, whatever, whether it goes down or we format it or anything, but the data will remain secure in that EBS volume in which we have stored the data. Okay, and due to its persistent nature, EBS volume can be mounted to an EC2 instance again and again. What I mean is, let's suppose you have a EC2 instance and you have stored your files into EBS volume. Now you have terminated your EC2 instance, and now after that, if you are spinning up a new EC2 instance, then you can attach that old EBS volume again into this new EC2 instance, and all the data which you saved into that EBS volume earlier will now be restored and can be used inside this new EC2 instance. That's why this is basically being used. And also EBS is being generally recommended for data that must be quickly accessible and also requires long-term persistence. So whatever, if you want to store data for the long term and also want to quickly access it whenever we need it, that in that case we will be basically using this elastic block store. Okay. Now let's see some of the Amazon EBS features. Like first of all is it can be created in a specific availability zone. Okay. And then it can be attached to an instance which is present inside the same availability zone. Okay. If we want to access EBS outside of that availability zone, what we'll have to do, we'll have to create a snapshot of this EBS volume. Snapshot is more like a backup file. So we'll have to create a snapshot of that EBS volume, and then we can restore that snapshot to a new volume anywhere in that region. Okay, anywhere in that region means any availability zone. Okay, similarly, if you want to access this EBS volume outside a particular region, means in a different region, again we will do the same thing. We will take a snapshot of this particular EBS volume, then we will copy the snapshot to different AWS region, and then from that particular snapshot present in a different AWS region, we will restore the EBS volume, and that EBS volume will now be presented in different AWS region. Okay, so this is the manner by which we can do that. Also, one EBS volume can be mounted to only one EC2 instance at a time. Although there are some exceptions, you will find some type of EBS volumes which can be attached to more than one EC2 instance at a time. But we will not focus on those those EBS volumes at this moment. Okay, and also this EBS volume is like a storage device. So whatever data you are storing into this EBS volume, you can basically store it in the form of encrypted volumes. Whatever data you're storing, you can just encrypt it and can store it. Okay, and since these are hard drive, these are more like the hard drives, your network drives. That's why they have a memory options. That's why you whatever EBS volumes you are creating, you can create it between 1 GB to 1 TB. Now let's see what is Amazon EBS Volumes. So Amazon EBS Volumes is just like your durable block level storage device that can attach to an EC2 instance that I just told you in the previous section. And after attaching to an EBS volume to an EC2 instance, these can be used just like your hard drives, just like your pen drives attached to a laptop, and then you can use it to store your devices, you store your data and all. Okay. What are different benefits of EBS volumes are? First of all, that is the data availability. Okay. Since EBS volume is automatic, since EBS volume is present inside your one availability zone. Okay, so it comes under the purview of AWS to basically maintain the data into that. So what it will do, EBS volume will be automatically replicated within the availability zone at the time of creation, so that data will not be lost due to any hardware failure. Okay, that was the first benefit, that is data availability. Second one is data persistency. Since as we already discussed, like EBS volumes are independent of EC2 life cycle. So if EC2 instance even goes down, the data, if it is present in EBS volume, will remain, and we can reuse that data within another EC2 instance. That's why we call this as data persistency. Third is your data encryption. That is also a feature. If you want to encrypt your data, whatever you are storing, to then you can also do this. Use the feature of this data encryption provided by the Amazon. Okay. One more feature is the snapshots. So snapshot, as we talked about, so snapshot of EBS volumes can be created, and then those snapshots can store in the Amazon S3, and based on the total size of the snapshot, S3 charges will be occurred. So S3 is again your storage service, and it is not free of cost. Whatever you are storing, how much you are using the S3, on the basis of that there will be charges. Okay, and the last we can see about the benefit of this is flexibility. So EBS volume support live configuration changes without any service interruptions. So if your EBS volume instance is live into production, and if you want to do some configuration changes, you want to change the type of EBS volume, and you can do anything live. Okay, you do not have to shut down the volume and all to do the changes and to make it live again. You can do it in the live environment. Okay. So these are different features. These are different benefits due to which we use EBS volumes very frequently into when we are using it as a storage option. Let's see like how we can access these EBS volumes. We'll show how we can create an EBS volume. Then we will try to attach this EBS volume to an EC2 instance. Also, we'll deattach this volume from an EC2 instance, and after that we will basically delete the EBS volume. So let's see all of this into live action. So I'll go to this AWS management console, and then we will see. Okay, so I am here in this AWS management console section. This is my home page. So what I'll do, I'll click on this EC2 service from my home page. First I'll create a new instance. Okay, I'll go to this instance, click on launch instance. I'll give it a name, EC2 instance for demo purpose. Okay, I'll select this AMI which is being provided by Amazon. This AMS Amazon Linux to AMI. Okay. In the instance time, I'll keep it as a T2.micro, which is available for us as a free tier account. In the key pair login, I'll choose the existing EC2 keys which I have created. In the network setting, I'll select this existing security group. In the configure storage, you can see, like I'll click on advanced. You can see this storage type is EBS. So this is your basically storage which will be attached to your EC2 instance, and it is of EBS type. Okay, and the size of it is 8 GB, and we have the default value of this is selected as yes for this delete on termination. Means when we will terminate our EC2 instance, EBS volume attached to this particular EC2 instance will also get deleted. Also, you can see we have an option of whether we want to encrypt the data or not. So here we have selected this encryption as not encrypted. Okay, so this is all we'll do. We click on this launch instance, and you can see it is showing here that successfully initiated launch of instance. I'll go to this instances, and I can see the instance is in pending state. I'll click on this. In this storage, we can see this is your root device, this is your root, and your next one is your block device. Okay, I'll click on this. I'll remove this filter. So basically where we are inside this elastic block store volumes. I'll click on this to show you again. So here we are. This is your particular volume which is being attached to that particular EC2 instance which is currently running. Here you can see it is type is GP2, size is 8 GB and all. Okay, and its volume state is in use. Attach instances this and all. Okay. Uh, okay. This is we have created an instance. What I'll do next, first of all, see. No. We'll create a new volume. So what we can do, we can create a same GB2 volume. For the size, we can select 1 GB. Now comes the part availability zone. Under what availability zone you want to create your EBS volume. Okay, so I'll go to first that EC2 instance which we have already in place and see what availability zone is present for that particular EC2 instance. I'll click on this. Under networking, this is my availability zone AP Northeast 1C. Okay, so I'll go to this EBS volumes and we'll create a new volume with. Okay, so I am here. I'll select this 1 GB. Then under the availability zone, I select this AP North 1 EC and just click on create volume. Okay, now you can see there are two volumes present inside this. If you want to see, you can go to the dashboard also and you can just refresh it. You can see there are two volumes, one instance which is running. Okay, I'll go to volume. It is still in creating state. Let's try to attach to a existing EC2 instance. You can see like this attach volume is still not enabled because the volume state is still in creating stage. Now it is in available state. Now we can try to attach it to an existing EC2 instance. What I'll do, create a attach volume. And here we can see it is showing me an instance which is already present, and it is your device name. Notice the device name which is creating now, that will be your /dev /sdf, and your range is basically a default range is sdf to p. Okay, I'll clicking on this attach volume. Now you can see its state has been changed from in use to from availability to in use, and you can see this attach instance is also being present here. Now what I'll do, I'll go back to that instances, click on refresh here, click on this under storage. You can see like now there are two different volumes which are attached here. One is your dev xvda, which is of 8 GB of size, which was provided at the time of launching the EC2 instance, and this current one is your 1 GB, which is being provided currently. Okay. Both the states is attached. And also if you notice one more thing, that delete on termination, the first one is yes, because if you know already, like when we were creating EC2 instance at the time of delete on termination, we had selected the option of CS, but when we created our own EBS volume, then we did not provide any of this option. That's why this is delete on termination as no. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll try to delete first of all this particular first EC2 instance. Okay, this is my first EC2 instance which was created when our EC2 instance was launched. Okay, I'll try to delete it. I'll try to basically detach it volume, and this will give me an error. Okay, unable to detach root volume from this particular instance. Why this is? Because this particular EBS volume is attached to an root volume of EC2 instance. Okay, that's why it is not independent of that EC2. Okay, that's why we cannot delete it. Okay, now one more thing I'll try to do. In first of all, I'll create a one more volume, and then I'll create it in another availability zone. Okay, it is in showing as a creating. Let's wait for it to be in available state, because after that only I will be able to attach it to any existing EC2 instant. Okay, now it is in available state. Let's try to connect to it and attach volume. But here you will notice that there is no running EC2 instance present inside this particular availability zone. That's why we are not seeing any particular option present here. So in this manner, you can see like you will be able to attach EBS volume to an EC2 instance only if they are within the same availability zones. Okay, now let's try to delete the EC2 instance. What I'll do, I'll go to this instance. What I'll do, I'll basically terminate it. So this instant state is changing from running to shutting down. If you want to know how this life cycle of this particular EC2 instance works, then you can go to my previous videos where I have already described how this particular instance state changes. Like it changes from running to shutting down, then it will change to some particular terminated state. So these are different life cycle stage of this particular EC2 instance. So you should know about this if you want to understand how this EC2 instances works. Okay, now you can see the instance of this state of this is terminated. Let's see under the storage option. Now there is no particular block device attached to it because the devices which were attached to it has not been present now. Okay, I'll go to this volume. I'll just refresh it. Now you can see one of the particular device which was the root volume of that particular EC2 instance has been deleted, and the second one which we created, okay, under this particular 1C availability zone, which was attached to that EC2 instance, is not deleted, but it is now available to use because that has been detached from that particular EC2 instance. Okay, so now since both of these are basically available, we can use it. We can attach to any different EC2 instance or not, depending on what availability zone that EC2 instances are present or not. Okay, and now we can also delete this. We will just have to press delete, and that's it. Your EC2 instance has been deleted. Your EC2 volume has been deleted. We will just go to EC2 dashboard to verify. You can see volume as 0, instances as 1 because the instance still present in the terminated state. Okay, after some time this instance will be removed from this particular list, and then you will not see any particular instance present inside this EC2 dashboard. Okay, next is your Amazon EBS snapshots. So whatever data is present on EBS volume, we can basically back up on Amazon S3 by taking in-time snapshots. What does it mean is whatever data which you are storing into your EBS volume, you can just take a snapshot of that so that you can use it, reuse it at a later instance if you need that data. Okay, so snapshots are just incremental in nature. So what it does is it maintains what was the last instance of that particular snapshot, and if there is change on top of that which has been done or not, if there is any major change after that, then it will be basically stored as an updated part and we'll save it on the S3. Okay, but if there is no change into that existing EBS volume snapshot, then there will not be any major update change in, and that will not be on the stored on S3. Okay, and also we know that snapshots can be copied across availability zone within a region and as well as across the regions also. Okay, also, you can see in this diagram, it is explained how snapshots are basically implemented in incremental nature. Okay, so you can see first of all, there is a volume 1 of 10 GB which is present, and when we are taking a snapshot of it, then we are having this snapshot A which is being stored into your S3. Then what we are doing, we are basically restoring the EBS volume from this particular snapshot. Now we say call it as volume 2. Okay, now we have changed the data and we have just changed the space of this particular volume 2, and now we have added 4 GB into it, so the total volume it has become is 14 GB. Okay, now when we are taking the snapshot of this again, so you will notice now what it will do, it will just capture additional 4 GB into S3. Okay, it will not store full 14 GB into S3, it will store only 4 GB because that's the updated one which is present. Okay, so that's like it will just have a reference of existing 10 GB to the initial snapshot which is present, and the latest one will be stored. If in any time this particular snapshot A gets deleted, so what it will do before deleting this snapshot, it will copy the data into this S3 so that this particular snap B, which requires both this 10 GB and 4 GB of data, will remain intact. Okay, also there is one more thing like EBS snapshots archive. So whenever we are taking the snapshots, so it's not needed every time. Okay, so save the cost of our storage, snapshot storage, what we can do, we can basically move our snapshots from standard tier to archive tier. Okay, so what it will do is archive tier is a basically storage tier that can be used for low cost long term storage of rarely accessed snapshots. Okay, by default, whatever snapshot we are creating in any availability zone are just created in a standard tier. Okay, but when we are archiving it, it moves from this standard to archive tier. Also, Amazon EBS snapshot archive offer up to 75% lower storage cost than standard tier. Okay, so if you see in this diagram below, like first one is your volume 1 where we have taken the snapshot of a this has been part of this standard tier. Okay, when we are archiving it, then it has been moved to this archive tier. Okay, and if we have deleted this particular volume, then also this particular archive in the archive, this particular snapshot of this volume is still present. Okay, now next is your recovering EBS snapshots from recycle bin. We can also delete the snapshots, whatever snapshots we are creating, but Amazon provides us a very classic feature as a part of recycle bin, where if we have if we accidentally deleted our EBS volumes or EBS snapshots or AMI, then we can have a retention route set in the recycle bin. And if that retention, so by that retention route, we can basically save our accidental deletion. Okay, so whatever we are deleting, if that retention rule satisfy that particular condition, that what then EBS snapshot and AMI which we are deleting will go to that particular recycle bin and will remain in that recycle bin until that particular exhaustion time is achieved. After that, this particular things will get deleted from there as well. Okay, but if this recycle bin is not present, then it will be directly deleted. Okay, Now let's see how we can create this EBS snapshots and all. Let's go back to that management console. Okay, what I'll do, I'll go to this EBS Elastic Volume Store. I'll create a volume. I'm creating this is AP Northeast 1A. The instances it is creating. Not is in available status. What I'll do, I'll create a snapshot of it. Okay. Demo snapshot. Successfully created snapshot. Okay. What I'll do, I'll go to this particular snapshots. And as you can see, now the snapshot has been created. Okay. Now what I'll show you the recycle bin part. Here, first I'll go to this retention rules. As you can see, there are no retention rule present as of now. So what I'll do, I'll go to this recycle bin again. I'll create a retention rule. For the resource type, we have two options for what we want to select a retention rule. I'll select this EBS snapshots only. Okay. And we can select a retention period. So I'm selecting 1 day for now. I'm clicking on create retention rule. I'll select apply towards all resources. And now you can see a retention rule is present. Okay. Now I'll go again to that EC2. I'll go to this snapshot. I'll try to delete that snapshot. Okay. Before deleting this snapshot, what I'll show you, there is more option is of this archive snapshot. So when we'll click on this archive snapshot, what it will do, it will just move from the standard tier to that archive tier, and it will save your cost. Okay. You can do in this manner. What I'll do now, I will try to delete it. I'll go to recycle bin. Under resources, you can see like there is one snapshot is present. Now what I can do, we can basically recover it from here. Go back to my EC2 service. Go back to this snapshot here. Now I can see it is again present here. Okay, in this manner, you can basically configure your recycle bin rule, retention rule present inside that, so that you can save you from the accidental deletion of this particular snapshots. Also, we will discuss about in AMI also what are AMIs and all. In that, you can also configure rules for AMI also in the same manner. Okay, now let's see one more thing. What we can basically copy a snapshot out of this. We'll do a copy snapshot. Okay, so when we are doing a copy of this particular snapshot, there are different regions which we can select. Okay, different regions, like currently I'm in AP Northeast 1. I can select AP Northeast 2. So what it will do, it will copy a snapshot into that particular AP's Northeast 2. So I'll go to this AP Northeast 2, and here I can see that a snapshot which is being present here is copied. Okay, for now I'll delete this particular snapshot present inside this. I'll go and check in this recycle bin. There are no retention root present. That's why there will not be any storage present here. Now I'll come again to my original AWS region, and we can see that particular snapshot is present here. Now what I'll do, I'll try to create a volume from this particular snapshot. I'll do create volume. And here in a snapshot ID, what I'll do, I'll select particular a snapshot which I have created. Okay, so for that, what we will have to, we just have to provide a particular snapshot which we have created. Okay, we can just provide the snapshot ID here. For that, I'll need a snapshot ID. I'll copy it. Now I'll create a volume. I'll give the size in the snapshot ID. I'll provide the snapshot ID, click on save, and just click on create volume. And now you can see this particular volume has been created from this particular snapshot ID. Okay, and you can see the volume state is creating. In this manner, you can basically create the volume from those particular EC2 EBS snapshots also. So yeah, this is all in today's video. In the next video, I'll discuss about remaining part of this EBS storage and different type of storage which I discussed, like EFS, EFX, and EC2 instance storage and all. So that's all. Please do like the video, share this video with your friends and colleagues, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel, The Ethical Cruise. Also, you can visit my blogging website, ethicalcruise.com, where you can read about the security basics, footprinting, and reconnaissance, and also I've mentioned about the cloud computing, AWS, all in there. So that's all. I'll see you in all the next video to continue with this cloud computing series and to continue with the second part of this EBS storage. Okay, thank you all.